There are moments in life where safety and purpose stand in front of you like two doors. And you can't walk through both. Esther faced that moment. She was a young Jewish woman living in Persia, beautiful. Yes, but more than that. She was hidden, unknown, quiet, and placed in a palace where one wrong move could cost her life. The Bible says Esther was taken into the king's palace and eventually chosen as queen, Esther 2:16-17. But there was something no one in the palace knew. Esther was Jewish. Her cousin Mordecai had warned her not to reveal her identity, Esther 2:10. And for a while, it worked. Until the day a man named Haman rose to power. Haman wasn't just proud, he was dangerous. He demanded honor. He wanted everyone to bow. But Mordecai refused, Esther 3:2, not because he was stubborn, but because he knew who he belonged to. And that refusal ignited a hatred so deep that Haman didn't just want Mordecai punished. He wanted all Jews destroyed. So Haman went to King Xerxes and manipulated him into signing a law. On a chosen day, every Jew in the empire would be killed and their property taken, Esther 3:8-11, 3:13. It was official, sealed, unstoppable, at least in human terms. When Mordecai heard this, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and cried out in the city, Esther 4:1. The entire Jewish community mourned, fasted, and wept, Esther 4:3, because they didn't just hear bad news. They heard a death sentence. Then word reached Esther. But Esther wasn't out in the streets. She was inside the palace, protected. So at first, she did what many of us do when danger is outside our comfort zone. She hesitated. Mordecai sent her a message. You must go to the king and beg for mercy. Esther 4:8. But Esther replied with fear, and her fear was real. She said, everyone knows the law. If anyone goes to the king without being summoned, they can be put to death unless the king extends the golden scepter. Esther 4:11. And here is the painful part. Esther hadn't been called by the king in 30 days. Meaning she wasn't sure she still had favor. Meaning if she walked into that throne room uninvited, her crown would not protect her. She could die. And then Mordecai sent the words that still shake hearts today. He told her, don't think you will escape just because you re in the king's house. If you remain silent, deliverance will come from another place. But you and your family will perish. And who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther 4:13-14. That sentence turned Esther's fear into a mirror. Because it revealed something. She wasn't placed there just for comfort. She was placed there for a moment. A moment where her life would speak louder than her beauty. Where her purpose would demand more than her position. Where her faith would be tested by risk. And Esther made a decision. She told Mordecai, gather all the Jews and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. I and my attendants will fast too. And then I will go to the king, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther 4:16. That's not just courage. That is surrender. That is a woman saying, my life is not more important than my assignment. So after 3 days of fasting, Esther put on her royal robes and walked toward the inner court of the palace. Esther 5:1. Imagine the sound of her footsteps. Imagine the silence. Guards watching. Breath held. Because everyone knew this could be her last walk. And then the king looked up, and the Bible says Esther found favor in his eyes. He extended the golden scepter. She lived. Esther 5:2, and in that moment, history shifted. Because Esther didn't just survive, she stepped into strategy. She didn't rush. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet, Esther 5:4. Then another banquet, Esther 5:8. And at the right time, when the moment was ripe, she revealed the truth. She said, if I have found favor, spare my life, and spare my people, for we have been sold to be destroyed. Esther 7:3-4. And when the king demanded to know who dared to do this, Esther pointed at the enemy and said, this wicked man Haman. Esther 7:6. In one bold revelation, Haman's plot collapsed. And the king's anger rose. That same man who planned death was judged. Esther 7:9-10. And eventually, the Jews were granted protection and deliverance across the empire. Esther 8:11. Esther 9:1-2. All because one woman decided not to stay silent. So, what's the lesson? Sometimes God places you in rooms you didn't earn because you were there for people you haven't met yet. Sometimes the risk you're afraid of is the rescue someone else is praying for. And sometimes your greatest moment won't come when life is easy. It will come when you say, like Esther, "If I perish, I perish," because the truth is Esther risked everything. But she didn't lose. She became the reason a whole nation lived. Bible reference: Esther chapters 2 to 9. If this story encouraged you, comment. For such a time as this.